Hello, bonjour. I'm Elke Winter, Professor of Sociology at the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at the University of Ottawa. One of my research areas deals with the following questions. How can we make national identities become more open and tolerant and inclusive of ethnic diversity without actually losing a sense of unity, of who we are? In a recent book of mine, which you see in the background, Us, Them and Others, Pluralism and National Identity in Diverse Society, I try to respond to this question and answer it as good as I can. And what I do is that I develop kind of perspective of how this works with the identity, and I say it's a triangular relations, not only between us and them, but actually between us, others and them. And by this I mean that we always have friends, which are not really like us, but which are in part of our group. And why are these friends, how do we construct them as friends? It's by opposing them to others, who are, we feel at this point, a little less close, a little less friendly. So we always compare our allies with those with whom we do not collaborate. This is not static. It shifts over time and context and situation. So sometimes, if you take the Canadian example, we may feel that British Canadians or the first immigrants from Europe were closer to the Aboriginal peoples because we share a common history than recent immigrants. Or it may work the other way around. We feel that the recent immigrants integrate into our society, maybe share the same language, while we should remain skeptical vis-à-vis some Aboriginal spirituality. This may also work across borders. Sometimes the Americans are our friends compared to, say, China. But sometimes Canada feels more European and would like to side with Europe rather than with its powerful neighbor to the south. Another subtitle that I could have thought for the book would have been From Europe to Canada and Back. And why? Well, because in the first part the book looks at European thinkers, Ferdinand Tönnies, Max Weber. And these thinkers played with concepts like community and society, in German Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft. And they said that we're always in between. We always want to live in a society which is open, individualist and allows us the maximum of freedom. At the same time, we despise the anonymity and kind of harshness of the society, would like to have closer knits communities, friendships, personal ties. Hey, but not too close, because we all know that family ties and close communities can also be very oppressive. So I look how these images develop and how a plural society is actually always in between images, projections of community and society. And then in the second part, where I say to Canada, I look how these images were in the 1990s projected changingly upon French-Canadian nationalism and French-Canadian nationalism and Canada's multicultural society. So sometimes the French nationalists were seen as too close and community, and multiculturalism was seen as open. But it shouldn't be too open either. We never wanted to lose our identity. And these things changed. In the third part, I look at what we learned from these changing relationships. If we go back to the context of Europe and recent civic integration courses. In order for immigrants recently, many European countries have imposed language courses, knowledge courses about Europe. Now, in these courses, do they help? Do the policymakers manage to strike a balance between openness, tolerance, and this type of plural inclusion, and without losing knowledge about who we are? Or are they going too far to either the other side, meaning that they almost of a sudden forget who these national societies are that have to integrate? Or do they go too far to the other side, meaning that they start to assimilate and immigrants and impose our national identities upon them. Now, if you add to this the policies and definitions of the European Union to the equation, then you have yet another very fascinating research area that needs still much more of study in terms of how can we think about who we are in open and diverse terms.